We meet Olive at the beginning. She is a marine driver, which means her job is to go deep into the ocean and study the life there. For this project, a suit was made that could go deep into the water and be used to study what was down there. Dr. Fletcher made this suit, and Olive was very happy about it. Once she has been told everything she needs to know about the task, she is free to go. She had never been so low before. Her suit system was connected to their ship above, and Dara, the expert, was in charge of it. Before that, Olive hadn't seen anything interesting, so she asked to go deeper. She was told not to go there, though, because the suit hadn't been tried that thoroughly. Olive is very sure that the test will be done now, if it isn't already. Put it down. The more she went, the more she felt that she couldn't see what was around her. She was scared and asked for the lights to be turned on. Soon after the lights came on, it was clear that someone had hurt Olive. This took place right after the lights were turned on. Whatever it was scared of light. Many parts of the suits didn't work because of this attack. Olive was able to go up because Dara's people saw that the system was broken. It took a while to come up, though, because Olive was deep. It was seen that Olive's whole suit was now full of water. There was no air in the water for a long time, so she was about to die. But Dara stepped in at just the right time and saved her life. The doctors then checked her out. People asked her what she saw below or what attacked you. Even though Olive tried to remember a lot, she couldn't. Olive has trouble remembering things for short periods of time, according to the doctor. The brain had not been getting air for a long time, so it was not actively working. It was fine, and it would be okay in the end. Olive has to meet Dr. Fletcher, who is mad at her, after the checkup. What gave you the right to take the claim so deep? A lot of money and time were lost when it was destroyed for the first time. The business had lost a lot of money. Due to her strong will, Olive was fired from her job. Even though Olive really liked her job, she wanted to find something in sea life that would make her stand out from everyone else. Anyway, she went to get her things and see the suit. When she got there, she saw this black, sticky liquid on it. She saw the suit all the way through and found something black inside it. It could have been the same thing that struck Olive. Olive quickly hid this thing so that everyone could see it for the first time from her point of view. Let it be known that she knows about her pet. She was already fired from the job. Giving this thing to the company was a waste of time. She took her creature to her house and hid it in the tools. Her husband was glad to see her. We learnt about Olive's private life. Olive's husband really loves her, but Olive loved her job more than being with him all the time. She used to spend more time on her work. There wasn't much her husband could say against this. Anyway, Matthew went to work in the morning. Olive cleaned up her lab. She began to see that black thing in it. It looked like an egg, but there were tentacles all around it. She heard strange sounds coming from it as soon as she saw it in the light. She heard Matthew coming home before she could figure it out, and she hid her creature right away. She really didn't want her husband to know that she had brought something home with her. Matthew and Olive hang out all day. The next day, Olive goes to her lab as soon as Matthew gets off work. She saw that the animal she had brought was broken like an egg when she got to the lab. A black liquid was all over the place. All of a sudden, she heard someone crawling. The thing that came out of the egg was moving around in this room when she turned around. It ran away when Olive touched it because it was scared. That's when Olive knew they were scared of light. It's clear that there is darkness below the sea. That's why these people can stay alive. When Olive puts a torch to its mouth to get a better look, though, the thing drops something black on her mouth. This stuff got into Olive's mouth, too. And Olive was in a very strange state. She had been lying there for a long time. She quickly got up when she heard Matthew's voice. She did everything she could to wash her eyes. So she hid her creature while she cleaned this room and then left. Matthew had a special dinner planned for Olive. They got ready and went to dinner, the place where Matthew saw Olive acting very strangely today. During dinner, she didn't say anything. She ate like she hadn't eaten in hundreds of years. He also told her to sit down and eat, but she didn't pay attention. When she got home, she threw up black. She didn't even look at Matthew when she was lying in bed. The thing was in her mind. Olive called her coworker Dara in the morning because her thoughts were making her feel bad, and showed him this thing. "That you didn't find this thing for the first time," Dara told her. "It's a monster that lives in the sea. It has been seen before." Olive was told by Dara that it is very risky. Keeping it at home is not safe. "You should tell your husband about it." But Olive got mad when she heard this. She also told Dara not to tell anyone. "I'll handle it myself." Now that Olive knew for sure that it was a monster, she tried giving it a lot of meat, but not all kinds of meat work. Olive got a cut on her hand while she was cutting the meat. As if the monster was hurt, she smelt the blood that came out of her hand. It seemed to want the same thing. Olive knew what this monster wanted too. That's why she killed this monster with her blood. It turns out this monster doesn't want meat. She wants to eat people. But where does she get it? She gets up in the middle of the night and hides from Matthew, and makes this animal drink her blood, like this monster is in charge of her. She did a lot of strange things. This thing was where she spent most of her time. It was like she had forgotten about Matthew. After a while, her sister also showed up at her house to meet her. Ellie brought Matthew and her a lot of wine. Ellie also noticed, while they were having fun, that her sister Olive was staying away from Matthew. She asked Olive after Matthew left, "Is there a problem between you and Matthew?" Which Olive clearly said no to, that something like that doesn't exist. After a while, Olive gets a call. She then goes to answer the call. It was Dr. Fletcher from this call. "That you stole something from my ship," she tells her. "You bring it back. If not, I can bring a case against you." Olive knew that Dr. Fletcher was talking about that scary thing. Dara had to tell Dr. Fletcher about that scary thing. Olive knew that Dr. Fletcher was in charge of the surgery. Dr. Fletcher had the right to everything she got from the sea. She also knew that if she didn't give all of this back to Dr. H. Fletcher, she might have to go to jail after that, and might need to go to court. Standing behind her, Ellie could hear their small talk. She asks her what happened when she sees how upset she is. That is, instead of acting correctly. She gets mad and sends Ellie away. Matthew was shocked too. What did Olive do? It wasn't that rude of her. Olive had a lot of changes that could be seen, like that monster used to have trouble seeing when it was bright outside. In the same way, Olive began to have trouble seeing in bright light, those glasses she wore all the time. When Olive got home from shopping in the evening, the doctor had already come to her house, she saw. She knew Dr. Fletcher had come to see the monster and take it away. Doctor. He told her about the monster that he saw. Keeping it at home might be bad. "It's going with me." There was a strange bond between Olive and the monster. It made her feel strange when she heard that it was going away. She had a strange feeling. She grabbed a stone nearby and hit Dr. Fletcher in the head with it. Before Dr. Fletcher goes, he needs to do something to save his life. The monster has to eat because of Olive. She goes to the toilet and starts getting dressed again. That had Dr. Fletcher's blood put on it. She started to cry because she had killed someone. She didn't do all of this by herself, though. The monster might have been in charge of her. She goes to the toilet after taking a bath. After that, she cleans all of Dr. Fletcher's blood. She then throws Dr. Fletcher's bones and clothes into the water. His locker keys were in his clothes when she was cleaning. It was taken to Dr. Fletcher's boat by her, and broke in and stole all the paperwork, where it was written about his job, then light the boat on fire in order to get rid of all the hints that she came here or somewhere scary met her. When Olive worked on this, Ellie went to her house while she wasn't there. She then went to her secret lab. She really wanted to see Olive's project. Even though Matthew told her not to go, Olive would get mad before she could see anything there. Olive got there at the right time. Ellie became angry. Taking a peek behind her, Ellie kept her stress in check and began to explain to Olive. "What do you do all day in this lab? Do you have any idea how scared and lonely Matthew is because of how you act?" Olive doesn't pay attention to her here and tells Ellie to leave while having dinner together. Matthew tells Olive about the person he serves, that she couldn't say. That was really hard for Matthew to deal with her. Matthew worked as a doctor. Olive's eyes started to shine after hearing this. It was like she was thinking of a bad idea. She didn't show Matthew this, though. She went to the hospital with Matthew's ID the next morning. From there, they put the patient in the car. She got up and walked towards the house, but first, Matthew saw her. She was scared. Thank God Matthew didn't see that the patient is now in Olive's car. Olive shut the trunk quickly. Matthew asked her, "Why did you come here?" Olive quickly showed him his ID and said, "You left this behind at home. This is what I came to give you, as soon as she gets home. This woman is food for her monster. She believed that her issue was now resolved. To keep the things she made with her, she only had to find some people to kill and feed her monster. After killing that woman, as she cleaned up the blood on the ground, she had no idea what had happened. She put her fingers in the blood and began to lick it. She was now lost in the life of this monster. The next day, she didn't find anyone to kill. She saw Matthew asleep when she came out. She even thought about killing Matthew. She didn't kill him, though. Matthew was her husband, after all. As soon as it got light, she went to see her co-worker, Dara, that person who told Dr. Fletcher she had a monster. Here, Dara tells her she's sorry, that what I did was wrong. Olive also lets her off the hook and acts like she doesn't care about what happened. She has something to show him. In the same way, she took Dara to her house while they talked, and killed him too, then fed her monster. No one knew what was going on until now. Olive has done a lot of dangerous things. She has started killing people. She started to enjoy killing people one by one. Ellie comes to her house tonight. Ellie came to let them know she was leaving the city, which Olive replied with a cold look. That yes, everyone needs to work. Matthew and Ellie began to talk to each other after Olive left. Matthew was very mad that he forgot to see one of his patients, and because he was in charge of that case, that means he could have lost his job. Ellie told him he was okay, but she also saw that Olive doesn't seem to mind about her husband's problems. Olive went back to her work anyway, and began to work with the monster. She went to Matthew's room to make him feel better. Olive sees that her creature is pregnant here in the lab. She was very happy to see this. She was so excited that she wanted to tell Ellie and Matthew about it. There was no one home, though. She also heard noises coming from upstairs when she went to her room. The two of them were together. She became very angry when she saw this. She then struck Matthew while he was picking up something and knocked him out. She then tied Ellie up in her lab and took her there. The monster's creature was something Ellie didn't know about. She asked her sister to help her. Olive wouldn't listen when she told her to leave her, and shut the door. That thing inside her was scary, and she knew it would eat her. She dropped a toolbox to save her life here. The toolbox opened as soon as it hit the ground. She saw a very sharp blade. Ellie tried to make it more real, and that's where she cut her leg, which made blood flow. The monster was in pain here, as you could tell by the smell of blood. Before it got to Ellie, she could smell blood. Ellie quickly wrapped her handkerchief around her leg and began cutting her ropes. On the other hand, Matthew also made sense of things. Before he lost it again, he asked Olive about Ellie. Olive asked another question but didn't say anything. "Do you love Ellie?" As soon as Matthew said yes. Olive got mad and threw Matthew through the lab door. The thing that was going to eat Ellie. It grabbed Matthew and ate him, seeing a scene that looked so dangerous. Ellie was scared and began to cry out loud. There was a threat to her life. She kept calling Olive to ask for help and hearing her scared words. Olive was making fun of Matthew outside. After eating all of its food, the monster went to sleep. She had to leave this place to stay alive. To get her ropes open, she did. When we were shown this, Olive was drawing pictures of that scary thing. When Ellie couldn't get away, it seemed like she kept making noises, so someone would pay attention and come help her. Olive got mad and went to her room to say, "What sounds are you making? My monster needs to rest now." Ellie looked at how selfish her sister looked, asked her, "Don't you feel sorry for me?" "What is this? You killed your husband to feed it. You now want to kill your own sister." Olive said, "He is God. He's strong in many ways. His powers haven't been turned on yet. He lives deep in the ocean. He hasn't been seen yet, and he picked me to bring his powers to life. I do what he tells me to do." Ellie told Olive, "You've gone crazy," after hearing what she had to say. Olive paid attention and then went inside and found an egg of the same monster. She cared for it like it was her own child. Olive was sure that thing could kill anyone. It will not kill Olive, though, because Olive is taking care of it. But Olive was wrong in what she thought, because Olive had the egg in her hand. The monster was hungry again. So it came at Olive from behind and split her in half. The lights went out all of a sudden, and the thing started moving as soon as the lights went out. Ellie knew that light can make a thing blind. She lit a match next to it and began making loud noises. Friends and family heard her, which was lucky, and opened the door when they got home, which lit up the whole room. Eileen's life was saved. That person also saw the monster open its big mouth and was about to hit Ellie. He called the police station right away. When it got dark, Olive's whole house was locked up. Ellie was saved too. She learned everything she could about the monster. The people in this group wanted to catch the monster. It was nowhere to be found, though. Now, since they couldn't find the monster anywhere. All of Ellie's talks turned out to be lies to them. They believed Ellie had lost her mind. Ellie was taken to a mental hospital when we saw the scene after the music. The thing was going somewhere through the sewers. It could have been going back to its home. Ellie saw in the news once. In the middle, a lot of people are going away. It scared her to hear this, and got in a car right away to go to the beach. She saw monster eggs all over the place. She also knew that the monster was nearby, and the end of the world is almost here, as soon as she thought about it. The water waves got bigger and faster. The beast shows up in front of her, as soon as the monster shows up. With this strange finish, the movie is over. How is this monster going to cause damage in the world? Or will everyone die?